Good morning. I am higher vibrations and so are you. And man, have we had a week and a half. It has been so insane for so many of us. Ascension symptoms, we're going to talk about this a lot today. We always do, but it feels like we're going to talk about it a bit more today. Um, there's an increase in a lot of different things. Interestingly, just an observation from talking to so many people, a lot of it is emphasized on the right side of the body, which I think is very fascinating, especially when you find so many people doing it simultaneously. So, like right ear and jaw, I was experiencing this, and then I've since had like 5 different conversations with people who had identical experiences to me. By the way, one of the exceptions is the left side. Um, all kinds of weird stuff on like the back of the head, the side of the head. Like I'm having some strange purging going on there. I know I recently did like a parasite cleanse, like super, super style. And so I thought that maybe that had something to do with it. However, I might as well bring it up in case other people are having this stuff. Weird, like uh, almost like acne coming through in this area, so just very bizarre. So going back to the right side of the body, this one's really interesting because almost anybody I talk to mentions that they have this same sensation or experiences the right big toe for some reason. Remember that the side of the body really does matter. So if it's the left side of the body, that's the divine feminine side. And if it's the right side of the body, then it's the divine masculine side. So something that I've been really experiencing for a while now is this. So especially starting about Tuesday, which was Mercury left retrograde that day, or so Monday, I guess it was. Um, and then ever since, a lot of different things going on, but it's been feeling like um, there's something more about time that's difficult to kind of uh, like a keep track of or something. It feels bent. Time feels bent. Was a one way that I heard. Best way to describe it. It feels bent. It feels um, we kind of feel like we're in a vortex where like all energies kind of just, it's not bad. It's actually kind of feels good to me. Yeah, unless of course I'm trying to do some type of schedule related 3D kind of stuff, when it comes to time, it actually is quite soothing, though, if you don't have to, have like things, times that you need to meet. So there's something that happened recently, and I know a lot of you already heard about this, but the activation of the base of our brain, or near the base of our brain, that's been happening regarding long-term memory, remembering who you are, kind of stuff. This activation is swelling this area of our brain that's between our third eye, our pineal gland, and our brain stem itself, which is also often referred to as the reptilian brain. And when this is happening, what is occurring is we're swelling the light here in the hippocampus region and expanding it to kind of push out some of this other contrary speak, low self-worth, you naysayer kind of back of your mind. That kind of stuff is being pushed out. There's a lot of different theories that I'm playing with on this, and I don't want to explain it because um, I don't know which one's what, but I can say this. It does feel very much like this, whatever it is that's been attached or connected to our brain stem, is not us. It's not actually you. These thoughts of low self-worth and stuff. This is some outside something. And I don't know if I'm not trying to say it's bad guy, good guy. That's why I'm hesitating. There's a lot to be discovered here, but it's really fascinating because everyone seems to be having that. And along with that, many people are having like a lot of headaches and stuff. For me, my headaches are more like a hand, because there's like strips that go along the top of my head, like, but a lot of people have talked about it like right behind their head, just like right at that, just above just in that bump part before you get down to the neck. Anyway, a lot of stuff like this. Everyone seems to be talking about this upper back stuff, between the shoulder blades area. It's fascinating so far. Even like the mailman, like everybody's talking about it. There's something about this particular area. For me, I've been noticing it's this wing energy has been coming in a lot stronger lately. This, for me, it's right on the shoulder blades, and then the shoulders. It kind of feels like you've been carrying around a heavy backpack for too long that particular day or something like that. It does help to visualize the energy moving like a infinity symbol and crossing at your heart center. It expands out pretty far, and you can go as far as you'd like. However, it does really help to visualize and understand that this extension, one side extension, is twice the height that you are. And so let's call it a wingspan, would be 4 times your height. You and 3 other yous along with you. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how long, how far out it goes. I already mentioned that the exhaustion, though, there's something more going on with this. There's not all of us are having it. However, this is what Spirit let me know about, and I already had a sense of it, is that there's a global dark night of the soul occurring right now. What is a dark night of the soul? It's a really poor name for something that's actually pretty beautiful. Once it's, in its purest form, it's shining the light on the shadow. So soul shining the light on the places that we haven't really looked at, maybe in the attic. There's piles of things, stacked up, and it's just showing us what's there. So we understand that there are elements that we can release that are not serving us. Often we find during the dark night of the soul experience, the light being shown on the soul window of time, is that there will be a lot of sheddings of relationships. So like you'll notice that there's a lot of parting of ways. It's not that it's you're leaving someone behind. It's that both parties in each of these situations are not benefiting from the engagement. So both of you are kind of pulling each other in a direction that's not for the highest joy and highest good of both of you. And so it's not like you're abandoning somebody or anything like that, but there's a lot of that going on. Pardon me. I'm going to just finish this. Like, I wrote a couple of things down, and then I'll get to your questions. I'm so happy to see everybody here. Welcome, everyone. So, and then there's a lot of sacral and root chakra stuff. This has come up a lot the past couple of weeks. And so this is just an area that's being resolved. Some of the individuals that are experiencing this, it's for you and your own personal needs, as well as there's a global thing happening or a collective thing happening that's like recalibrating this area of our body. What I understood from the conversation I had with Spirit was that this has to do with the fact that many of us who are being affected by this, for instance, for one point, we came here long after the ones who are already calibrated, when we were out of like an old system, basically. And so we're needing to kind of bring balance, harmony to this area of our body. This has to do with, safety. This has to do with your shadow self, is where sacral lives. In order to assist yourself with the dark night of the soul, this is an area of focus. Dark night of the soul can be assisted and accelerated in a lovely way by doing what's called shadow work. Shadow work is there's a lot of different places that you can find really great meditations, guided meditations of shadow work. It sounds creepy too, but it's not. It's actually inner child is what they really mean, so it's not something that's like, oh no. Some really cool stuff happens there. I think it's really fascinating that over the years I've discovered consistently people store their inner child or their shadow self in their sacral chakras. And so I'm not surprised that this is an area that's being activated right now. So there's a lot of stuff about that. A couple more things real quickly. this global PTSD or collective PTSD kind of stuff that's happening. Not everyone will be affected by it, though there's a high concentration of people being affected or having the experience of it. This is along with coinciding along with this end of life review kind of stuff. These things are coming up to reintegrate. This is similar to a dark night of the soul / shadow work. It's just kind of done for you. So it doesn't always feel that great when it's happening instead of doing it with intention, which is why I encourage people to go and do shadow work if they can, if they're able to. And in fact, I'm going to post a meditation that I did years ago that really benefited me, and I've suggested it since. This person, I don't know if what they do anymore, but back then in 2020, they were doing some good guidance regarding this topic. And so I'll put that in as a link in the comments here on YouTube after the show is done going live. So anyway, it's Aaron Abke. Shadow work guided meditation is how you would search it in YouTube. So anyhow, along with this, all this stuff that's coming back and being reintegrated, this is happening also simultaneously to remembering regarding multiple lifetimes, not just this one. And as a result of all this past life stuff, we're having end of life review kind of stuff regarding previous incarnations as well. And simultaneous to that, I know it's a lot, simultaneous to that, a lot of us are having like our soul contracts or whatever you want to call it are like in default or no longer, not default, are expired. And so there, some of them are being rewritten. Some of them are just going in the completion box, so there's a lot of stuff that's changing. You may find over the coming even, months or even years that you'll notice that the way that you do life and that you're guided to the way that you're encouraged in that way, spiritually speaking, will have changed dramatically. So it's okay, like it feels weird when you're playing in a new toy box, but it's pretty exciting too. So there's a lot of that stuff going on. And then as a result of all of this extra work, many people are being kind of pulling back a little bit more. Not everybody will. And typically when this happens, I end up being one of the people that's still going live and still checking in. So if you feel lost and are looking for somebody to I'll always be here. Also, every Wednesday we do a Zoom meeting, so we're encouraged to stay connected at least at some level with our spiritual community, with our soul family, with others who understand what we're going through and can assist us in a variety of ways. The other method that we have available for just higher vibrations alone, there's a lot of places that do it. We have Telegram too. So those of you who are interested, there's a Telegram link that is free. It's free to join, free to participate in. That link is in the description of this video. There's like 520 people from all over the planet, and there's always somebody awake. I find that really cool. It's really useful to have such a large group of people that are like-minded and sharing all the information that's coming up at the same time. It's pretty cool. So if you are feeling like I'm talking about, where you just want to withdraw, you're in alignment with a lot of other people. And so, just allow yourself the grace of rest, allow yourself the time that's required, as much as you can. I know that a lot of us, can't always do that. There's things to do, kids to take to soccer games or whatever it is that's going on. However, the more breaks you give yourself, the better on all of this stuff. So, Carolina, good to see you. Good day. Welcome. Vegan Vixen is here. Welcome, Vegan Vixen. Patriot Hero, good afternoon. I have about 3 or 4 dreams. I had about 3 or 4 dreams. Excuse me. You did write that correct. I have about 3 or 4 dreams a night. Sometimes it's making me be tired all day. I also am trying to figure the meaning of the dream. It's hard. Some seems bad. Well, a lot of the stuff that people are having coming through, so I'm glad that you brought this up. are in fact past life experiences that are coming to a close that just need to be seen so they can like be let go, released, um, along with the inspiring of the emotion. So emotions aren't meant to be stagnant, stationary. We don't own them. They're not part of us. They are a passerby that need to be felt so they can go. Emotion, energy in motion. It's meant to go. It's meant to move through. And so a lot of times it inspires us to feel a certain way, that an emotion that's been dormant and hidden from us, that we usually have done the hiding, so along with that as well, I'm really glad that you brought up the dream stuff, because these dreams are definitely intensifying for everyone. um, Often we are in astral. Now, I'm not saying that that's correct for what you experience specifically. However, dream time is like in the indigenous cultures of the Americas, they refer to it as dream walking when you're astral traveling. And there's a reason for that. There's a direct correlation, and we do tend to astral project. uh, we disembody from our earthly form and interact with other beings, with our cohorts, with elders, with a variety of different individuals. And so there's a lot of stuff that can come through. And what's more is that these individuals tend to communicate telepathically, and therefore it's a variety, like a freaking hodgepodge of, like some kid in science or social studies class that's making like some weird collage of all the events. All of that stuff all at the same time comes to you as a parcel, sensory, taste, smells, sights, emotions, colors. And a lot of those things are occurring while we're in dream state, that are then later interpreted as what we call a dream, when it was actually a parcel that was meant for us to slowly unpack. I noticed that it helps when we slowly unpack it, like we're a blossoming flower. I visualize it as a large lotus, and each petal unfolding releases or shows a bit more information that's within it. So I don't know how much that helps you, Patriot. Here, I'm sorry to hear that you're so tired. I can tell you, I the past few days, especially, super tired, much more than typically. Even on the days that I end up not getting sleep, like for some reason, this is like a really big one. Good to see you, Astra. Deborah says hello, Mila. Hello, all. Ralph is here. Hi, Mila. Hi, all. Love from Scotland. Welcome. Vegan Vixen, left side, teeth. Okay, so there have been a lot of there was a high frequency of energy that we've been getting the past couple of days. I don't know how many of you have been watching the Schumann, but not just the Schumann. There's also been this super influx of little guys, good size M flares and C flares from the sun. The past 48 hours has been rather epic to witness. In fact, yesterday, almost 24 hours ago exactly, I think it was like at 4 o'clock, we spiked in the KP index up to a G1/G2 geomagnetic storm. A geomagnetic storm is the energy that's coming in from the sun when we get a big solar flare, or several solar flares simultaneously tend to have a similar effect that a large one does. And this increases the energy, the geomagnetic energy that is happening with the earth. There's a lot of science into it that we can discuss, but it would take a long time. But mainly it's just where it's like a magnetic toroidal field shifting thing that happens. And as a result, we all tend to experience it differently. I can tell you from my personal experience, it always affects my gums. And I had it. I could tell when we were getting the peak, when it was happening, because I started to get a headache in my gums. So just like you had said, I found, at first I thought it was my teeth. And I found very quickly that it was in my gums. And so it may be in your teeth. I can also suggest that anytime we're getting any of these influxes of energy, salt. good salt, salt that's not been, um, stripped of its minerals like table salt typically is, and whatever else they've added to the table salt. So we always use like pink Himalayan salt, Celtic salt. There's a lot of different ways to do this. There's 82 minerals in Celtic salt, and there are 2 in table salt. And so you can see that quite a bit has been stripped from it. So if you can get, or at least pink Himalayan salt, pink salt, pink Himalayan salt. There's 2 different kinds. They are mined from the earth and don't have quite as many minerals. I think it's like 78, 79 minerals instead of 82. I'm not sure. So if someone knows, I would love it if you would comment and let us know. Anyhow, this helps your mouth. Anytime that I'm anything to do with the heart palpitations, salt always helps. Anything to do with the mouth, salt always helps. Anything like to do with even headache related stuff, salt always helps. We typically will have about a teaspoon and a half of salt a day. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Like when it comes to like the taking of the minerals. But I'm not telling you how much to take yourself. You use your own discernment. There's a lot about this coming out that is just validating what I've been talking about. So it's really cool to see that medical science is reporting the same thing. So good to see you, AG. Welcome. Karen says dreams are off the charts. Exhaustion, physical and emotional, desire to recluse. Yeah, yep. This withdrawal stuff that a lot of people are experiencing right now, especially from larger community gatherings kind of stuff, large groups. I'm finding it's not as desirable to go out into like a fair, you know what I mean? Everybody's different and everybody can do whatever it is that's correct for them, of course. Though what I'm guided to do at different times is when the energy is so picked up like it is right now in the collective, those who are maybe deniers or not wanting to participate or believe in some of the things that we've come to believe, to understand is true, and then is now coming forward. These individuals who had reluctantly who didn't participate are now being kind of shot, exalted, what's the right word, put out there, catapulted into an awakening experience of some sort. And they're feeling kind of off about it right now. They're feeling a lot of different ways. Think about what it felt like when we first started to wake up and we started to realize, they're lying to you and all these different things that are just like the first foundational parts of waking up, all that white hat stuff and the battles of good and evil and all that stuff. That's all coming through all at the same time for them. They don't have time to, digest it. And so their energy is kind of static. It's very, charged. And so for me, I don't participate if I can avoid it. If you have to go out in it, that's there's a lot of things you can do. One of those things is to expand your bubble of light within you, and then further and further growing to be beyond and around you. Starting from breathing through the nose, holding it for a moment, and then exhaling through the mouth. And after 3 cycles of that, then within each exhalation I do, because I visualize like blowing up a balloon, I expand my soul spark here at the heart center. I expand it bigger and bigger and bigger. It's full of white light for me. It can be whatever color is for you. And that fills you back up and puts you back to the 0 point, as well as creating kind of like a buffer. There's some type of a light medium between you and the outside frequency of nervousness. And so whatever it is that they need, it's drawn to them and it doesn't affect you. So that really does help. And also if you're, doing 9 to 5 kind of concept or out wherever, you can always take 5 minutes in the bathroom, take a break, go hunker down in the bathroom stall and do the same thing I just talked about. That really, really helps, so Yeah, I'm totally feeling it. And the dream, Karen, we're having so many crazy dreams. I totally agree. And the exhaustion is both physical and emotional. It's on every level. It's on every level. Like, and it feels kind of like a cozy tired. Like you can't wait to climb into a summer afternoon nap. Kind of tired. I don't know how to explain it better than that, but Gwendolyn says it's like liminal space for me. Yeah, dude. It is really a weird. It's cool though. Like this new place that we've ventured to. Like we're in this in between now. We're in motion toward and away from. So we're toward something higher and away from something that we didn't realize was lower. And these measurements are how we describe it, but it's not as lower as we but yeah, we're definitely shifting through this. Mariette says my joints are aching, my feet hurt, walking unbalanced. I've been having a lot of this extra dizziness that I've been noticing has been affecting like my stance a little bit when it comes to being unbalanced. I wonder if that's what you're talking about, because I've been having that too. And then a lot of people are talking about the joints, specifically the knees and the elbows. Interesting too is that lately, over the past few weeks now, every time that we do guided meditations, there's always an emphasis focused on the knees and the elbows. Like the light swells around those areas and then remains that in that way. Recalibrating, healing, doing a variety of different things, often including purging. And so if you would like, the meditations are free. I post them in the Telegram group every week. The audio part I post, and so anyone who wants to do that does help a lot for these for these joint regions. And also regarding like the jawbone, the jaw joint. This is an area also that has been brought up probably about a dozen times the past 2 days for a lot of people. So Vegan Vixen says I want to run away, but I don't know what from. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, there's a lot of this, right? This has a lot to do with this remembering process. It's difficult because when we begin to remember, even on the smallest scale, like it's just an inkling or a sense, there begins to be a homesick kind of thing too. It's like you suddenly realize where you are, and so a lot of us are feeling this way. It's like, and on top of that, we are in the in-between place. We're moving, like we're leaving one area and going to another. Visually, Spirit gave it to me last night during the session as they were talking about the step forward over from one place to another. You have one foot still outside while the other foot is flying, is in travel, is not even down yet, and so there's still like all this new incoming information. You're entering into a new place. This wherever you're entering, like the visual they gave me, it looked like I was going into someone's home, and it's a home I've never been in before, and there's all this different stuff that's coming in, and it's similar to that, only in a much grander scale. And so we're all experiencing it on some level. Along with this, we're remembering where we're from on some level, and that's a much more aligned place in many examples. And so we kind of want to be there instead. I can say this is that I feel you, girl, and I know that a lot of you are feeling this, and it would be remiss for me not to say that if we left now during the best time, the part that we've been waiting for, like this time now and within the next couple of years, and I'm not saying that it's going to take that long for anything to get better. It's just this window of time that they're talking about. This is why we're here. This is what we came for. You all are grand transmuters. You are all, masters of a variety of things. That's why you got to be the ones chosen to come here. It wasn't for the weak of heart, you know? And so, and we came in with a purification by fire. When they say that, they're talking about trauma. Trauma is purification by fire. The trauma that we experience is intended to assist us, to enable us to ascend. In order to awaken, we must first have trauma to resolve. And this resolution, resolving of the trauma, healing this trauma, creates the ability to be catapulted into the next dimensions. And so allowing ourselves to feel it when it comes in, and then to not own it, is sometimes a difficult little balancing act that a lot of us have not ever before that moment in this lifetime even thought to do typically. So it takes a while to do something that's so new like that we've not done. So my heart goes out to each and every one of you. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not easy right now, but it's going to get a lot better. Hi, Mila. Hi, all. Love to you all. Good to see you, Lizzie. Welcome. Gwendolyn says, I have ice packs on my back, on the back of my head at the moment. Yeah. So there's others who are also experiencing that same thing. It's just this. And so this activation you can actually assist yourself. And so it feels a lot better if you take just a few moments. It doesn't even have to be a really long meditation period, just, a few moments, but focusing on, again, just like I said earlier, breathing in through your nose, holding it for a moment, and then exhaling as you relax, exhaling out through your mouth. Doing that in 3 cycles cleanses the system. And then after that 3rd cycle is complete, each exhalation, visualize, or inhalation, whichever one works for you. I find that it's just more visually accepting for my energetic body to do the other way around. Anyway, when the incoming light comes through, guide it specifically to this area of your brain. And so this area of your brain, that 333, that's receiving all this extra light, the hippocampus, visually, the way they showed it to me, looks kind of like a partially inflated balloon. Like you can tell it had been deflated. And so this balloon of light will be expanding more and more as more light is sent in. So visualizing this really does help bring in balance. Visualizing that hippocampus area of your brain expanding with light. And also it's really cool because it pushes out all this other stuff that's contrary energy that's been, whether it's attached to it or messing with it somehow, it pushes it out and guides it back along the path it's meant to be taking, so it really does help. Jaw clenching. Okay, Deborah. So I wonder if that's I know for me, I've not been doing a lot of the jaw clenching stuff, but I'm noticing that my jaw and my right ear have been really kind of yelling at me, so yeah, dude. Oh, Vanya, yeah, the full moon. Today's the pink moon. And I guess it was, it's technically last night, so but we're here still. We're still in the energy of it. Also during this day, so yesterday, I can't remember what time it was at the moment any longer. However, Venus left retrograde motion and went direct. Therefore, now every planet is now in direct motion, or no longer in retrograde motion. It won't be for a while. So that's really bringing in a lot of it feels almost like a lot of people got used to that tense energy. And so almost feel like the bottom of the floor came out from underneath them for a second, but it's balance. And so letting yourself lean into this balance really does help. And we're all really super exhausted. There was no sleep. So not last night, but the night before that, we were up well past sunrise. It was a lot of energy coming in, and not so much last night. I probably got like half the amount of sleep that I would have liked, but I still went to bed relatively early in contrast. And so, however, there's just a lot of incoming stuff. a lot of downloads. I don't know how to be in like a normal or a whatever you call it. I don't want to call it normal, but like a typical conversation with people right now. I just don't have the interest or energy. I don't have any desire at all. In fact, I avoid talking about or learning about politics or the news. That's not something that I enjoy. Um, Yet, even just frivolous, chit chat, that surface talk, is just so draining on me right now, much more than usual. So, anyway, Mila, how do you handle all the timeline shifts? It's just tough. It's super tough. It's also kind of fun. I've always been that person who likes to untangle like the yarns and stuff. I remember I used to fly fish all the time, and I would be the person who would like, you know, one of my friend's kids first, fishing rod got all tangled up, and I would untangle it. So I feel like that has something to do with it not being as difficult for me. I feel like that for the most part, I enjoy the untangling part, and if you go far enough back, you'll see that each stream of light has a singular originating source. And so, if you go far enough back, you see it's all the same thing. However, you know, one of the things I've noticed the most fascinating the past little while is that how many people aren't recalling just simple, regular, but they should have made enough of an impression to recall these moments, these basic things that Maddie, my daughter, and I are on the same path somehow, which is awesome for me. But we both recall it the same way, and others are recalling it completely different. We're talking about taking a Mandela effect and putting it on steroids or something. Just bizarre things having to do with these timeline jumps. And so as we untangle and unoverlap, I guess that's a way to describe it, we kind of allow ourselves to take in the fuller picture, and we see how every aspect can benefit us. This is fun. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I'm going to use this example behind me. So this is one orb here, and another, and another. So this is what Spirit was just recently been explained to me. Okay, is that so? This is what we've been calling old Earth. This one here, right? And see, it's touching this one, this area here. This orb is what we've been calling new Earth. What's fascinating is there's a lot more of them than just the three, but this is what we're talking about. This is what we're doing. And then this one here, this is where we are now. I know it's really strange. However, we're still connected to all three. We're more connected to this one than this one now. And so there's a lot of just faded memory, collectively speaking. Like, I find this super fascinating. And we're not simply talking about like how something was branded or what the name of a children's book was. We're talking about like full on experience, and only a few people remember it the way that we remembered it. And the elimination of the ability to recall density is occurring right now. Most of us are feeling our last chance, the last few chances of sadness, of mourning. And yeah, it's a moment to celebrate for sure. The what I get from it is, so I've had multiple near-death experiences in my life. I as a lot of you know, I was raised in a really messed up way, and one of those first near-death experiences occurred when I was 4, or the first. And so, however, each time that I passed, I was met by a huge group of individuals of different, like, spirits, I guess you could call them. They didn't have form the way that they do when they come through here. Anyhow, and all wanted to know what it was like. They wanted to know what life was like, and were so excited for me. And I wanted to tell them about love. I wanted to tell them about joy and celebration, the parts that we want, the parts that we look forward to, that we as a species are driven to achieve these moments. And though they understood they didn't really care. They didn't care about those parts because they know those parts. They know how to achieve those. They are unable to achieve sadness. They are unable to, in the profound depth that we're able to experience mourning, suffering, loss, depression. Like they wanted to know about chronic depression because at that point, throughout most of my life, I was chronically depressed, so depressed, all kinds of different stuff. And I didn't understand it, but it's because they can't replicate it. They are unable to replicate the great illusion of separation from source, from God. To recreate the illusion of separation from your fellows, from the galactic whole of the cosmos. Everyone feels connected. And for them, it would be like putting on a VR helmet, and like wandering around into this virtual reality place. Eventually you're going to bump into the coffee table. Eventually, your mom's going to call you or whatever, right? And you're not really in that world, whereas we are. And so we're able to have a unique experience of this great sadness, this profound suffering. And though it's something that we've typically tried to avoid at all costs, this is the gift of the life that we've had here. And it's almost over. That part is almost over. Within a very short window of time, you won't even know it when you're doing it, but you'll feel sadness for the last time. It could be the last time. And it's sadness is such a huge catalyst for growth that there's other ways that we'll find that will assist us. Though this is going to be something that if you can allow yourself to remember what it feels like, to savor it while it's there, and to know that it's a gift that can be experienced on purpose. Not only does that help it to go, but it also helps you to remember, because a lot of people are forgetting what density felt like. Isn't that weird? A lot of people are forgetting what it feels like to have a sucky day. It's really bizarre, but that's happening. And it has a lot to do with what you had mentioned, Vanya, this timeline shift that happens. So these are the timelines. I usually use these strips behind here as the example from jumping from one timeline to another. So typically we would jump, in like a huge, what we're doing now is we're going higher and higher and higher. It's like unbraiding it, untangling it. And just be along for the ride, man. Just enjoy the ride. Joshua, we are all definitely going through a readjustment process right now. The global dark night of the soul seems like a good way to put it. I know that I have been going through a similar process, and many, many are. And if we're not having it directly ourselves, we're feeling it, like we're sensing it on some level, so just keeping that in mind and honoring your experience, allowing yourself to, savor or be in the moments that you're in so that they can be expressed and released. The dark night of the soul is such a beautiful thing that we are able to experience, that often we forget how uncomfortable it is for others. And so I don't mean to present myself as unempathetic to your experience. It's just, I just know what it's for. And so therefore I'm excited for people, in the most loving way possible. So, hey, Josie's here. I'm late. Blame the woods. Nature was calling. So glad you went out into nature. If you can go out into nature, even to your backyard, even if there's like a little patch of grass someplace, just go, especially if there's trees there, by the way, like connect with trees, being in nature. It's warming up across the northern hemisphere enough that you can get out now more and be in it. Even if there's a lot of weather where you are, I still will, you can do a variety of things. I'll bring dirt into the house and I'll ground that way. If it's too cold to walk barefoot, I've been known to take a lawn chair out to next to a tree, to sit in the lawn chair above the snow, and then put my bare feet against the tree and have conversations with the tree that way, and ground. It really helps. There's a lot of different things that we can do for that. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought the woods up, Josie. Thank you. Good to see you. It keeps jumping around, so I'm just going to grab this one. Hello, Nanad. Usually it was the left one that was active. Now the right one became active. And yes, I had a lot of bad thoughts about myself. I was a loser, and I remain a loser kind of stuff. Yeah, so this is a lot. This is exactly what we're talking about, this being purged right now. And focusing on this hippocampus, expanding the light there really guides this stuff out. Sometimes, often, not always, we'll find that when something's also leaving, you'll notice that it kind of has a last like growl. Archangel Michael calls it the shout before the flush, because he's full of jokes when I interact with him. He's kind of like the uncle that wants you to pull his finger, in the way that, but he started interacting with me when I was like a child. So anyway, so sometimes we'll notice it get stronger when we're resolving it. So yeah, it's really interesting how that works. P Factor, hello, good to see you. Earth to page, Earth to tooth. Come in, tooth. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening with that. I like this question, Lizzie. Thank you. Mila, do you gargle salt and spit it out, or consume? I consume it. I also gargle it and spit it out. I'll do that in particular after I've done oil pulling. I'll use coconut oil, and like a lot smaller amount than people suggest, because I won't last that long if I have a full mouth. Because anyway, then I'll always do a rinse with salt water. Also, we use salt water as a dental hygiene tool as well. So that one of the best things that you can remember to do is to floss, and use saltwater rinse before and after the flossing, regarding health of your teeth. However, our bodies require salts. So what I'll do with salt, I don't typically, when I'm going to use it for the minerals, I don't typically mix it with the water. I'll put it directly on my tongue. So I'll get a spoon and I'll sprinkle salt on it, and I'll eat it, because I don't want to put it on the tip of my tongue. You want to leave it on your tongue for a little while. You don't want a lot of it at one time, of course. However, if you notice that when you're using Himalayan salt or pink salt or Celtic salt, that it won't feel the same discomfort as it does if you're doing like when we were kids with the table salt. Anyhow, let it sit there for a moment, and then I wash it back with water. So it does really help. If you are putting it into the water, it does still help you, but what it is that your body can't absorb all of the minerals through your digestive system as efficiently as it can through your tongue. So letting it sit there on your tongue, your body that's a direct absorption into your body. That's a direct path to accept those minerals into your system instead of having them later be expelled. And so, good question. Diamonds. Let's see here. Okay. Yes, dreams off the chart. Some relating to things I've said or done that day. Not sure what's going on there. Yeah, dude. It's a huge uptick, not slowing down. We're having our guides, our higher self. We're having all of our light team coming and interacting with us in a variety of different ways. Typically during the night. It's typically between the hours of 3 and 5 a.m. So, it makes a lot of sense to me too, that it would kind of expire right before that moment of morning. The clock, the way it's meant to have been designed for, was that 6 a.m. was the beginning of the day, not midnight. And so it shows this whole through the night thing. Anyway, you can do this with intention too. Like, it doesn't have to be haphazard or sideways. You can come in and say, this is what I'm doing tonight. I'm opening myself for conversation, and I usually prefer to declare with my voice, though this isn't required. It just seems more powerful to me when I declare. I find that I come in with a more commanding voice too, and I'm not, you better do this, but it's just like, this is what I'm doing, and my voice speaks it. When this occurs, when I do this, I will always have some type of interaction that is then later recalled, um, and sometimes lots more profound than you would expect, or that you had had before ever in this incarnation that you can recall. Hey, 1, 2, 3 people here. I'm getting so many more synchronicities that it's just like such a joke. I'm really glad you got some support, Anad. That's awesome. I'm really glad you were able to be here and that you raised your hand. Lyra says, yes, so tired here. Mental and physical exhaustion. It does feel good. Lots of naps and sleeping. Still tired, just riding it, waiting for energy to clear. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing too. And, I've kind of worked in moments where it's possible to take naps in my day. Like, it's just something that I need to do. I don't always sleep. It's just meant to stop, to be in that just in my own energy kind of a place. If it's possible for you, if it's not, there's other ways to do this, similar to what we're talking about regarding going to like the stall at a bathroom, even if it's a public bathroom. Well, obviously if it's a stall, but like that gives you a break. You can do this at home too. If you have kids or people that are just kind of, take a break in the bathroom. Some people can't do that. Some people just are. I know that when my daughter was younger, I couldn't, like even though the door was closed and locked and child guarded, she would still have her fingers under the door, because babies are so cute like that. But so, I mean, whatever it is that you can do to take a break, to just to be in your breath for at least 3 cycles, it will really help. April, I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. Pamela, you are a spiritual badass. I just love you so much. Oh, thank you. Love you too. Thank you. I thought 2025 was supposed to feel much calmer than 2024, but it seems just as intense. When do we reach some level ground? This is a really good question, Christina. In fact, we are already getting into this leveled out place. If we compare what we were experiencing last year, it's maybe something similar seeming, though if you really look at it, we're in a whole different experience, on a whole different plane. What we're having come up right now is just the loose ends. Technically, the new year only started a few weeks ago, like technically, galactically, speaking, our new year is observed the end of March, beginning of April window. It's a little different every year, but this window of time is considered the new year. At the 28th of March was when a lot of the releasing of the outside stuff. So there, I can't remember the word, but they're showing the visual of a corn, and you take the husk off the corn, and that's what we're doing right now. Is we're taking the husk off of the corn. We're purging this outside aspect, this container that's kind of keeping us, has kept us capable of doing what we were doing before, and is no longer is no longer serving us. And so we got a lot of purging to do, which is why we're having so much end of life review kind of stuff. Spirit described it as a global PTSD. Now, this doesn't mean everybody's having it, but they're showing it as the majority are having some type of PTSD kind of response to what's occurred over the past 5 years, and earlier, though specifically, and in the initiation period of it is simply over the past 5 years. And I mean, think about the difference of who we are now, and in contrast to that, we're a whole different person than we were last week. And then if you go back all the way 5 years, holy crud. Anyway, things are going to get better and continue to get better this year. Yeah, they're also going to get different. Where, as you spring clean your house, there are areas that you don't realize that you need to pull furniture out, or there's things that come up that aren't planned. But for the most part, it's going to be a leveling out period this whole year. So I'm glad you brought up memory, Lizzie, because I've been noticing this with my vocabulary in particular a lot more lately. Memory's so bad, can't sleep more than 6 hours, difficult when you are struggling for days. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've slept more than 6 hours. It's been closer to 5 lately. And then when it is time to sleep at night, these past few, little, I don't even know, especially the past couple of weeks, then I was happening before that, is that then when it's finally time to sleep, or I'm able to sleep, I still stay awake, like that kid that's getting away with something, like that when you were in high school or early 20s, and it's Friday, even if you didn't have anything to do, just for the sake of it being Friday, you didn't want to go to bed. It kind of feels like that every night right now for some reason. So Featured Hero says, I honestly don't know how much more I can take. Seems like everything is falling apart. I'm in sales, and sales are horrible, and it's making it very difficult. I'm sorry to hear that, Patriot Hero. I know that a lot of things are meant to kind of come apart in order for it to be built back up in a more aligned, correct way. The visual they show me for this is that we look like a 3D puzzle. Those puzzles that the pieces of puzzle have like this foam on them, and then when you put the puzzle together, it looks like a statue or a thing. Pardon me. Well, that this visual then breaks down on purpose. You take it apart in order to resolve the multiple places that the pieces of the puzzle pieces were put in the wrong spot, or not put in at all. And so a lot of things are seeming to be falling apart right now. I hope that helps you to know that this is a global experience, that we're all doing this in some way. And it's actually quite amazing. It can be really beautiful. Unchain your brain. Thanks, Mick. I haven't seen you for a while, Mick. Good to see you. Unchain your brain. Yeah, I like that a lot. Like we sometimes we'll call it a rut. We'll stick ourselves in this container, this place that we're meant to be, that we think we're supposed to be, and it causes us to continue to exist in the way we had previously, when what we're meant to do right now is to grow. Is what we're meant to do is to expand and to they call it reintegrate, though for us we would probably call it integrate, because we don't see the previous experience with it. But to reintegrate this light, the light within us, in a way that is meant to be there, and so and for the longest time there's been an overemphasis put on the brain, and in this the balance has been removed from all other parts. And when it's effective, it's been removed from all other focus, in particular the focus upon the heart. So just releasing and going with the flow. I know it sounds so much more simple than doing it. I learned how to do it because I was put in positions where there was no other option. Like, I don't know how to teach that, except have what happened with us, which ended up looking like, to people on the outside, crisis. When it wasn't actually crisis at all, but it was something that had occurred. We lost our land on May 2020 during the height of lockdown. The beginning, it wasn't even quite summer yet, and we were homeless with a 5-year-old, and I needed to let go of a lot of things, a lot of control mechanisms and belief that I had the reins, in order to just be in the moment and thrive. It's something that I can't replicate on purpose, but since then, I've learned that if we can trust the universe, that the universe will be there, that when you step your foot out into this place that looks like there's nothing for your foot to land on, that you'll be caught, that the universe will catch you. Like, and I'm not literally saying to step off the edge of something. What I'm saying is that when we make an act, when we act on something, knowing that you're going with the flow and the universe will catch you. You can tell inside, using your own spiritual discernment, you can tell if you're meant to, if you're guided to do something. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about, your ego. The ego is the operating system that it ensures longevity, that you'll stick around, and that you'll be able to live a long time. This operating system helps us in a lot of ways, this ego. However, it also creates this illusion that there's some kind of really bad thing that's going to happen if we step out and if we trust. So there's a difference. You can feel it. Your intuition, your spiritual discernment tells you the truth. And then your ego is the mind that tells us, what about? Oh no, kind of stuff like that. So, oh, thank you so much, Sandra. Enjoy listening to what you have to say. Thank you very much for the 499 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I should probably wrap this up in a second here. Diamond Heart here. Hello, Diamond Heart 888. Fellow Diamond Souls calling all diamonds. Yeah, that was fun. I saw someone posted a whole bunch of diamonds earlier, and I actually missed the correlation in the conversation, but it was really cool that it popped up when it did. Elsa's also here. Good morning, Mila. Good morning to you. I was just getting ready to close up. I'm trying to just kind of looking through and seeing. I know I missed a lot of y'all's comments. Something's going on. I need to find a different streaming service. 111, 3 cycles, Mila confirms. And it's actually, there's 111 people here right now, and I just pulled that up. That's really fascinating. For those of you, by the way, if you haven't seen it, Elsa and I didn't have a show. There was something that she was there, and for one reason or another, and it was during some energy that was coming in, so I'm not super surprised. Mercury had just left retrograde motion, but so it can't be blamed for this, but there's other stuff going on. Anyway, for one reason or another, she wasn't able to come into the show. So it was just me just kind of rambling. So there's been better quality. However, Elsa and I will have a show down the road relatively soon. We actually haven't compared calendar or checked dates out yet. So, but that's going to happen soon. So just so y'all know. Alchemists Unite. Let's have some fun. That's exactly right. We are transmuting this bad boy. We are allowing the frequency to uplift the all by first doing it, uplifting ourselves within ourselves. As we expand our own light, it affects everything, all the way out through the cosmos and beyond. It affects everything. That's why they talk about it being an inside job, working on this. A lot of times, I'm going to be straight up honest with y'all, because if people tend to think that I'm super selfless and stuff like that, and I'm not. Like, it ends up working out for the betterment of others, though typically what I'm doing is I'm being guided because I want to assist my own experience. And if the energy is all yucky, I'm going to transmute that bad boy. You know what I mean? I'm going to transmute it so I feel better. And then now I feel better, and that's been transmuted for me. Then I notice that it's affecting others, and that's when I pick up the pace and amplify that light further. It always starts with my own experience. You know what I mean? When I do these meditations, it always starts with my own experience. I'm like, oh, that's something that, and it ends up being something that can benefit everyone else. There's no coincidence here. It happens that way for a reason. When you were inspired to dance, you were inspired to dance at that moment for a reason. When you were inspired to do whatever it is that you do, each thing that comes up, and like there are no more important than another thing anymore. It's all exactly the way it's meant to be. Perfect puzzle. The solar flare throws it all up in the air. Reset, rest. Exactly. That's right. Just pulling yourself out of a rut. I like this. Unrut your butt. That's funny. Yeah. We're finding that the frequency or the trajectory that we had been on was intended to bring us to the point that we had just passed, and that it no longer is in alignment with us. And every person is different. Everybody has a different experience, slightly different from the other, so whatever feels correct for you is correct. And we're all a different puzzle to the same puzzle, or a puzzle piece to the same puzzle. It's just that if we compare and look at each puzzle piece by itself compared to another one, yeah, sometimes they look dramatically different. However, they have the same purpose and the same role that everyone else does, each one of us, exactly who we are meant to be at any given moment. Tar in 8. Interesting. I think I missed awaken the thought. Awaken. I thought they meant spiritually, not literally. Right. What's sleeping? I like these. Yeah, that's right. Well, I should wrap this up. I got to get going. I got tug at you for a reason. Yeah, it does. It definitely does draw you in. It's showing something to you on purpose. Oh, this is a good one. In our sides, literally spleen, gall livers. Yeah, exactly. And so allowing yourself, remembering you need water and salt. Use your own discernment. Again, we're talking about not table salt. We're not talking about ionized or whatever they call it, iodized, or I don't know. There's no iodine in there. I don't. We're not talking about that salt. We're talking about Celtic salt, pink Himalayan salt, even river salt. River salt, I think, has 72 minerals. So I actually didn't know there was salt in rivers. That was just a little rabbit hole of information that I found myself down. So anyway, thank you all so much for being here, for being part of this beautiful journey, and for, if you didn't show up, I wouldn't be here. If you didn't show up, I wouldn't be here either right now with this conversation. And looking back through the weeks, you can see it. These conversations really help people. And so thank you. Thank you for showing up, and for coming, even when you don't want to, even when you feel, your energy is pulled or strained, you still show up, and you still speak out. You still write in the comments and communicate with one another. And that is so beautiful and selfless in a lot of ways. And so I thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, it stopped. It's frozen. It's frozen for Deborah. Well, I guess it's time to close anyway. So, interesting. I wonder if we're getting an influx of energy. Well, sending you all so much love. Thank you once again. And I will see you next week. Not next week, on next Wednesday. That's going to be with my sister Sandra. She's coming on. It's going to be a really fun conversation. I haven't talked to her for quite a while, so I'm super excited about that one. Then next Wednesday is going to be Cara from Tasmania. She's amazing energy. She's always fun to connect with. And then the Wednesday after that's going to be Jacqueline. Jacqueline and I are going to have a conversation. And somewhere in between there, on the 25th, Josie is coming on. So that's on a Friday. Josie Jackson from the Fifth Essentials LLC, I think is how you say it. She's going to be coming on for the show, and then I'm going to start opening up Friday to also have like a second show. So third show, I guess. So we'll do 3 shows every week after a while, with an occasional postponement. So every Sunday will for sure, and then Wednesdays and Fridays will be also going live. So that'll be fun to see that kind of find its path. So thank you all so very much. I love all of you. Bring in the light with intention, and you will find that so much more is being resolved than you realize. I love you.